day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hello, neighbor. Glad you're with me. This is vlog number 4, I believe. It's been a beautiful summer day. As you can see, I'm kind of in my summery shirt because it's going to get hot, like upper 90s around here. Thankfully, we don't have the humidity usually. Usually it's not around, and I don't think it's supposed to be humid the next couple days, but man, is it gonna get hot. So anything I want to do outside, I have to do in the morning because I'm not going outside when it's like that. So some updates as usual. I will do things non-stitchy related first. I'll talk about those. So if you don't want to cover that, watch that. You can skip ahead until we get to the stitchy stuff. My backyard, the never-ending saga. It's almost like a soap opera, isn't it? Like, what's happening now? It's getting really close to being finished. I don't think I've really talked about it. I think I might have just kind of briefly mentioned it in the last couple of vlogs that it's getting there. I'm still working on it, but I haven't really talked about it too much. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more this time because hopefully, if everything goes well, it will be completely rototill graded, and so then of course I'll have to, like, if I'm going to put sod in, I'll have to do that. If I'm going to put flowers in, whatever, I'll have to do that. But to me, having the grading and everything done is huge because it took so long to get there. If you all watched some of the first videos that I did on this channel, you saw how bad it was. The weeds were 4 to 5 feet tall. There's holes everywhere, all that kind of stuff. So I will have a video and show you kind of what it looks like with all the weeds and the holes filled, without the grading and rototilling done, and then hopefully the rototilling will get done, and I'll show you what that looks like too. So a few videos of different progress reports. Something else that I did in last week, and if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a little story, you know, the little video stories. I can't remember if I put it on a story, if I just put it on the regular feed of a bike ride that I did. It was in a park in Salem, so it's about a half an hour from me. It's not that bad to get to. It was a beautiful day. It wasn't hot. It was perfect, really. It was absolutely perfect for being outside and doing that. It ends up where I ended up parking, because there's several different places that you could start from. I parked on the west side of the Willamette River, and there's a pedestrian bridge. I'm thinking it used to be a railroad track that they've turned into a pedestrian bridge, bike bridge. And so I went across that and then wound around to along a park side along the river. But then after you cross another smaller type bridge, you're actually kind of, technically, I think they call it an island. I'm not real sure though if it's how much of an island it is. And that's where most of the bike paths and the walking paths are. And so I have some video of that. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So some of it is in kind of wetland, grassland. So right now it's probably a little drier, so it's not so much wetland. And then amongst the trees, as you're riding through the trees, it's just so peaceful. And I know some people don't think a bike ride is peaceful, but when you're out in nature, everything's peaceful to me, unless you got a bunch of screaming somebodies. It's not so peaceful. So those are the 2 things that I will show you video now about, and then we'll come back and talk about other things. See you in a minute. All right, here it is, y'all. This is the backyard after I have taken everything out, moved dirt, but it hasn't been rototilled yet. So as you can see, it's pretty much done. There's a few things I still have to do. So this area's better. This area, so all the way, let's see, from this little area all the way around here, that whole flat dirt area, that used to be like a 1 to 2 foot high mound of dirt. The whole area. Huge, huge, people. And we had to move it all because we needed to get the root balls, the weeds out, as well as just kind of move it so that when we do have somebody come in to rototill, they're not dealing with it themselves. It's going to make it cheaper for us in the long run. So all of this is done. Dun, dun, dun. And then I have just a few things that I have to kind of clean up. All of this is done. Oh, I'm so happy. Not quite jumping up and down for joy yet because I'm waiting till the rototilling's done, and then I'm really going to be happy. So we had to take out a bunch of posts. I don't know if you remember that. So over there is a mountain of posts. We had 11 posts that we had to dig up that had been cemented into the ground, and 2 that had not. And then there's some really big, way back there, some almost like railroad tiles, but they seem bigger than railroad tiles. And I needed to get them out of the dirt and out of the way too. Something else, there used to be, running all the way up and down here, a vent pipe for a pellet stove. Wasn't planning to take that out. But as you can see, I'm needing to paint, and so I was kind of messing around with stuff, and I just like, oh, I just need to get this out of here. It's kind of driving me crazy. It's ugly, and I'm not going to need it. It's going to come out eventually. I'm just going to do it now. So now I need to finish cleaning this area up because I started, and then we really got into the yard work stuff, and I just kind of put it on hold. So yeah, I have just a little bit of this debris here. Some garbage that we dug up, more brick. I'm so sick of brick. Some more weeds and things that we pulled out. I need to move, obviously, this ladder. But then a few more things over here, some rocks and cement pillars and things like that, so that it is a clean slate. I'm probably going to pick up these bricks here, possibly put them back, but I want to have as much cleared out of the area as possible when they rototill so that there's no problems. But y'all, doesn't it look nice so far? I just can't wait for the rototill to get here. Just as a little side note, I thought I'd point out, I did have to dig up this rose bush that's in this pot from the backyard. I don't know if it's going to survive or not. Yesterday it was super, super hot, and I didn't water it right away. I did give it a ton of water, though, so it shouldn't be thirsty anymore. But there's some leaves and things that are looking pretty wilty. I mean, let me see if I can find that little guy. I mean, look at that. Right here. He's drooping over, but then you got some that are looking just fine. So he may survive. We'll see. There's quite a few areas that have wilty pieces on them, but they look like they're newer growth, so maybe he'll be fine. But in other news, that giant piece of wood is the only one left. I don't know if you remember from watching other videos, the mountain of wood pieces that were here from our tree we had to cut down. I finally got somebody. The neighbors had wanted it, but then they decided they didn't, and it took months to figure that out. But I found another neighbor who wanted it. So they came and took the stuff when we were gone at church, and then this piece was still sitting here. So I'm guessing they don't want it. It's just too
stinking heavy to try and move. So I'm thinking I actually might keep it and roll it. It's thick, but it's not super, super thick. I might roll it into the backyard. Once that's all done, I'll have to put it somewhere else for the time being and use it kind of as a coffee table. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think that would be fantastic. So that's kind of my plan right now. My next project next week, because the rototilling will be done, and I can't lay sod down. The sod I looked up online said the ideal temperature to lay sod down is like between 60 and 70 degrees. I don't even know when it's going to be 60 to 70 degrees around here. It's just going to be a while. So I'm going to make sure, cover up the backyard after it's rototilled so I don't have weeds growing in again. And then next week, I'm hoping, if the weather's going to cooperate, to start on my driveway because it needs help. After the tree fell down, it just totally screwed up our driveway. And I haven't really been able to do anything, and I need to get it done before it starts raining again and turns into a big mud pit like it did last year. So that's my plans. Well, I'm heading off for a lovely bike ride. Heading over that bridge, which will go over the Willamette River and into a very nice park with a lot of bike trails. So, here you go. Here's some views of the bike. I have had a lovely, lovely bike ride. It was probably around 8 miles or so, something like that. Just beautiful. As you can see, part of it's through wooded trees, and then there were other areas that were out in the sun, so you got a nice mixture. You weren't in the sun the whole time. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the view and the videos of all the little spots on my trail. See you next time.
Howdy, y'all. We're back. I know not everybody notices this kind of stuff, but I got new glasses. So not only do they have a slightly different shape, I have to wear progressives, so gonna have that going on. That's never gonna change. But this time I decided to get, they do like a digital measuring, so it's a little bit more customized to you with the lenses. And also I got the anti-glare. So hopefully, I know it's still doing it a little bit, but hopefully I'm not getting quite so much glare off my glasses when we do the videos. That drove me a little crazy, but there really wasn't a whole much I could do about it. No matter how I tilted my head, it seemed like it was always really bad. And so now maybe you'll get to see my eyes. Yeah. I hope I didn't freak y'all out there. Okay, let's get into stitching stuff. I don't do a lot of stitch projects going on at one time, so usually I don't have a ton to show on those. I've been kicking it around. You know how they had Stitch Mania? It's like every day they started something new, or some people started one once a week, or I don't know. They had so many different people had so many different variations of it. It's like, would I want to do that? And if I did, you know, when Stitch Mania rolls around, that's quite a ways from now. It gives me time to think about whether I would want to have that, because then not only do you have projects ready to go if you just want to grab something different, but you have all the supplies for it potentially. You have your fabric, you have all your floss. So I'm giving it some thought. I just don't know if I'm going to. All right, so getting into what I have been working on, what my whips are at the moment. The ever-present Esther's Wave by Northern Expressions Needlework. And as you know, the last band was giving me a lot of trouble. I am happy to say I finished that band. So behind there. So that specialty stitch up in here was just throwing me for a loop. Luckily, it's probably not noticeable, but there's so many of those that probably aren't 100% accurate. Thankfully, it's not so bad that you can't see the mistakes, but I know they're there, and right now I don't care anymore. So yeah, I'm on to the smaller band here, and then I'll have one more thick band and one more small band, and I'll be finished. It will be done, people. Yes. By the way, if you're hearing all kinds of noise coming from somewhere, it could be my son thumping on the floor upstairs or yelling at his friends as he plays video games with them. Sorry about that. So anyway, it's getting there. So close. And as depending on how fast this stuff goes, I will try to unroll it and show you the whole thing in real in depth. I know some people want to look at that stuff a little closer, but I've kind of been showing it as we go, so I don't really want to unroll the whole thing. I have been working on, the witchy washi. I showed that before. I haven't really done any progress because there was a couple of colors that I really needed, and you use a lot of those colors. In fact, so much that you have to have 2 skeins of 2 of these colors, and they're like everywhere that I need to stitch next. So I hadn't really worked on it. So I'm not going to show you that. Maybe when I have more progress. But what I am about to start on is the Field Mouse Hollow. Okay. And this is with Thy Needle and Thread. You're going to see a theme throughout my stuff that I am doing a lot of fall projects right now. I'm going through, I've got a few small ones that I've finished in a fairly quick amount of time, and the ones I'm working on all seem to be fall related, as you're going to see. So how much are you getting ready for fall? Are you working on a lot of fall stitchy projects? I am. I'm going to use all of the called for fabrics and threads for that particular project, so there won't be any surprises in what I'm doing with it. All right, finishes. I've got some finishes. Some of the things you've seen, some of you haven't, because I did it quickly enough. They were small enough that it didn't take very long. So one that you have seen is my Out on a Limb. my bluebird. This is a Mill Hill kit. Normally Mill Hill, as you remember, is perforated paper, but a few of their patterns have this Ada. I have done one where I switched out. It might have come with Ada, and I switched out to more of a linen look, but that was years ago. So yeah, all done. And as you can see, there's beads in several places. His wings and tail feathers actually have beads in them as well. So all cute and done. I also have the yellow bird, and that's the only ones I'm going to do. There are 4 in this series, but I'm only going to do 2 of them because that's all I want. So done with that one. Another one that I started, and I didn't show you before because it took me about 3 days to do it. So it was done within the last video and this one, is this cuteness. So this is Betty Boo, and it's by Bent Creek. It was one of their free patterns. So it's a very quick stitch. Didn't take hardly, like I said, it took about 3 days for me to do this. So not too long. So cute. I love her mask. The bat's cute too, but mask just so cute. Another project that I finished, I also have not shown you. It's kind of been a drawn out process. So I stitched one of these months ago. I didn't FFO it at that time because I kept looking at it like, I just don't know if I really like it or not, because I did change it a little bit. So I thought, well, I'm going to get some other floss and I'm going to stitch it again because it's not that big. And then we'll see, maybe I'll like the other one better and see how it goes. So I did do that. And when I got finished, like, well, it's not an overwhelming, oh, I really like that one better, I'm definitely going to use that one instead. It's kind of a toss-up. I like them both. The reason I didn't care for the first one is because it seemed like the thread I used blended in just enough to make it a little bit harder to read. So I wanted to get something that was a little brighter, a little bit more visible. So I did. It's very visible. Like, see from the moon glow in the dark kind of visible. And not only did I stitch it and finish that, but I FFO'd it. So here's the first one that I did. This is, I can drive a stick. And of course it says, why, yes, I can drive a stick. Fun. And I did, as I said, I finished it. So I added some accent, and then there's some sparkly fabric for the back. The one that I did next to try and get a little brighter, because as you can see, it does blend in a tad. I mean, from what you're seeing, it's not too bad. But it was just like, well, it's kind of a grayish, it blends in with the purple a little, I don't know. So then I went to this. Wow, is that bright? But it's, you know, and I ended up, because it wasn't super clear either on this one, I outlined everything so that it was really, really visible where the words were. Just popped it a little bit more. And of course I gave it this beautiful green side, got the rickrack on here as well. And the back is this nice purple. Because I did use the same orange fabric for both of the stitching parts, and it does have a hint of purple, you know, depending on what part you're stitching on. It does have some purple on it. When I finished it, I intend to kind of put some hanging device on the back. That's the one thing I haven't done, because I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do it. Because I am going to hang it from this. So it's like a little witch broom, an old broom type thing. It's not an actual, I mean, nobody used it as a broom, it's a decoration. But what I'm going to do is probably have this either leaning against something or hanging on the wall kind of as an angle. And then I'll just hang this right here. So that's the thing I need to figure out, is how do I want to attach something that can hold it onto the broom. So very cute stuff. I'm loving my broom, and I like these things a lot. And so since I have two of them, it may be just be, how do I feel? Which one do I want to hang right now? Not that big of a deal. So I have two options now. What I ended up doing is, because I didn't want it super fat like a pillow, because it's going to be on kind of attached to that broom, but I did want a little bit of fluff to it. So what I did was I took a piece of cardboard and I wrapped some batting around it, okay, a couple of times, so that it gave some fluff to it, but there's still some stiffness to it. And I did that for both of these, and then stuffed it in there and closed up the hole, and voila, all done. So that is a finish, completely FFO'd. Purchases. What have I bought lately? As you know, I don't buy a lot. It's really dangerous to go into Acorns and Threads because I always find something, and I know I shouldn't look, but we all know it's gonna happen. Everybody does it. Okay, so what I found, kind of along the lines of the fall theme, is this chart. Now, I can't show it for very long. I forgot that it has the pattern on it. It's called Fall Yule All. So it's got a, you know, a little sheep, not this sheep, but it's a little sheep, and it's got pumpkins on the bottom, and then there's a button. Let me get this so that it won't glare. There, it's a little better. There's a button that you sew on amongst the stitched buttons, or the stitched pumpkins, I mean. So very cute. I can't wait to get that one done. Alrighty, so that, then I'd seen this pattern. I think it was, somebody had showed it on Instagram, but it wasn't really available yet in the stores. So I was talking with Janine at Acorns and Threads, and she's like, yeah, that hasn't come out yet. I will put it in your bag and save it for you when it comes in. And so she did. It's Hickety Pickety. Oh, the glare is getting kind of bad. The thing that just, I might take it out of the package. It is by With a Needle and Thread again. It's the same company as the other one. The thing that just cracked me up and had just kind of pulled me towards it was the chicken pulling a cart, for crying out loud. It cracked me up. Absolutely cracked me up. I didn't even notice, somebody else pointed out, there's a witch sitting on top of the pumpkins. I didn't even notice her. All I saw was a chicken pulling a cart. It's pulling a cart, y'all. Okay, so I don't know when I'll get started on that. I'd like to do it sooner rather than later, but we'll see. And then the other thing that they've been saving for me for a little while, and I finally got it because I've had several things that they've been saving, and then I just slowly pick away at getting them, so it's not like a heart attack when you look at your bank account statement. Is the Summer Mouse scissor roll. So you can see that this is the whole piece all unrolled. Try and get it so you can see it. And then it rolls all up like you see here, and you put your scissors in there. There's a mouse on top. It does come with some stuff. So it's got the lining for the roll. That's what the green stuff is, I believe. It comes with all the stuff for the mouse. So it's a little base and some flower things. She's got a flower on top of her head. Things like that. I don't believe it comes with the scissors. You add those yourself. But pretty much everything else for putting it together. I think you might have to get your own your own fabric for the front part and then for the mouse, but it gives you the lining and the beads and all the other little accoutrement that goes on those things. So there's some things. Hopefully you enjoyed those. As I had mentioned in the last video, that I had wanted to try to watch some new videos to me, whether they were new Flosstubers or not, and give shout outs because, you know, as I mentioned, this is how we spread the goodness to everybody, was we find these people and we spread their names so that other people can start watching them. So I have ended up watching 3 new people, and new meaning not only new to me, but they are new to Flosstube. So the first one is Amanda. She has done 1 video, so hopefully she'll continue. I really liked her. She's pretty calm in her demeanor. Just kind of tells you what's going on, what she's doing. Her name is Lucky Chance Stitcher. So that's how you're going to find her. She actually lives in Ontario, Canada. Doesn't have really too much of an accent, except for a few times those O sounds. You get to hear those every once in a while with a little bit of an accent. I love the sound of those. I love that sound. Another person is a guy. I know there's not too many of them out there, so it's kind of nice to find one that we all like. His name is Robert. He lives in the Houston area. He goes by Texas Bob 88, and he has about 3 videos out right now. Of course, I'm filming this now. Who knows if more of them will come out since I end up filming them. And the third person is Anna Yu, and I think that's all that she goes by. If you're going to look her up, I think you look for Anna Yu. She lives in the Denver area. She has made 2 videos. She was really unsure about continuing on. She made 1 video and then she's like, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this, but she's gotten a lot of stitchy love from people. A lot of people have subscribed to her, and that has just kind of really shocked and surprised her. So she's been very happy, thrilled about it. And she went ahead and made her 2nd video. She did mention that she will probably only make a video about once a month, because she, as I mentioned, lived in the Denver area and they're very big on hiking. So she tries to get outdoorsy, and then that kind of cuts back on her stitching time. And I think she wants to have enough to show in her videos to make it worth it for her to do that. Her videos aren't very long. It seems like they're around 15 minutes or so. So they're pretty short. So yeah, that's my new shout outs. I will try to put them in the description area so that if you need something to visually look at, you'll be able to see their names and what to look for when you look them up. So with that, once again, I just want to thank you all so much for either following me, subscribing, watching, giving all that little stitchy love, like, comments. It's great. And if you do Flosstube, you know how much that means to you too. So with that, hopefully the upstairs noise wasn't too bad and you enjoyed everything, and we will see you again the next time. See you later.